They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
Check. All right, so I have just found out that my entire show has been done with no audio. Thank you, Michael Newsom. I appreciate that. I hope everything is fine now. It looks like it is on my end, so I hope you guys can hear me now. I guess I will start over. That's not that bad though, because I don't really have that much to talk about this week. Except for the fact that we're going to crush Cleveland, or I feel like we are. Except for the, there are some down points. So let's get to it. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm glad you can hear me now. All right. So Cleveland last year went 7-10, same as us. They're 1-1 right now, same as us. Their defense is a lot better than ours. As far as points allowed, they have 29. Our points allowed are 40. First downs allowed, us is 34. First downs they've allowed is only 15. But they've only created 2 turnovers, same exact as us. So there's that too. They've only allowed 1 touchdown where we've allowed 3. Their third down conversion is a 20.7%, 6 of 29, where ours is a 30%, 9 of 30. Not much difference there. However, their red zone defense is 0 of 0. That means they haven't had any attempts, though. So it's not really a stat you can go based off of. As far as their offense goes, their offensive numbers are mostly better than ours, to be honest. I hate to say that, except for the turnover. The turnover is the only thing, and that's where we got to win the game. It's exactly what I was just talking about. We got to win the game with the turnover battle. They have 6 turnovers with 2 interceptions and 4 fumbles. 4 fumbles. Too much popcorn on the sidelines in Cleveland. But I think we need to take advantage of that. However, they are favored as a 3.5 point score, I think. Last time I looked on DraftKings, I think it was 3.5 points. I don't know. It's hard to keep up with nowadays because they change it literally daily. As far as the game goes, though, our strategy needs to be pretty simple. The big factors in this game is going to be Jim Schwartz. It's going to be a huge factor in this game. Previous defensive coordinator for the Titans for years, back when Jeff Fisher was the coach. He was also the defensive, I don't really know what you call him, senior defensive coordinator or defensive co-coordinator, passing defensive. He was some kind of defensive coordinator over Shane Bowen just last year. So he's familiar with our offense and the way we like to do things, but Tim Kelly is a new addition, so I'm hoping that kind of throws a wrench into his plans. However, playing Jim Schwartz is never easy. His defenses are never bad. So, and they're always good against the run, which is what we like to do to set up our pass, play action and stuff like that. But he does give up the short game. So there's that. So I think we come out with a quick pass, set up the run, and then all this. Basically kind of the same thing we did against the Chargers. A lot of people are, I don't really know why, but a lot of people are down on Tim Kelly for his play calling, which I think is crazy because it's very inventive and it's a lot different than we've seen. And so far it's working out pretty well. We stayed in that Saints game all the way until the end, even though it did not end the way we wanted to, and our offense looked like crap because of a couple players not executing like they should. Not going to name any names. But this game, the last game with the Chargers, really showed. We kind of got back to the play action pass a little bit more, but we still had that sprinkling in of, like I said, that split back or the offset eye, heavy set, whatever you want to call that, with Chigakonkwo as the fullback. It was really, really impressive. He just called so many different plays out of that same look. It looked great. Let's see what he says here. There are so many good against run. I think the first play should be an formation play action shot to Burks. Yeah, that was another thing I mentioned was I wanted to see if Burks was was that a product of, because I don't think so. I mean, I don't believe this. I just hear a lot of chatter on Twitter and social media and stuff like that. But a lot of people are asking, is that a product more of Treylon Burks's actual abilities, or was it a product of bad cornerback play by the Chargers? And, personally, I don't know if you watch a lot of the tape from the first game, you see Treylon Burks is open a lot, like a lot. As a matter of fact, in the first quarter, I was actually doing a game cast. You guys can go back and watch it if you want on an app called PSF, Pro Sports Fans. But I was calling for Burks. I even saw twice in that the one where he was just Tannehill just ran backwards for like 15 yards and then got sacked at the 2-yard line or whatever that was. Burks was open, man. All he had to do was step to his left, set his feet, and throw it. And he had Burks for a touchdown, easy. Same with the other play. He had Burks for a touchdown. He underthrew it a little bit, but it still worked out great. 70 yards. I mean, he was yesterday before the Monday night games, he was the tied with the lead in the NFL for the longest air ball. Ryan Tannehill with that pass alone. So kudos to you, bro. You played a great game. I think I've given you enough shout outs though. As far as the our game goes, as far as our strategy or what I would do if I was the coach, after watching the last game, obviously Deshaun Watson gets flustered pretty easily. You can get under his skin, you can kind of mess up his game, kind of like you could with Tom Brady. If you could actually get under Tom Brady's skin and get him really angry, usually his game would reflect that. You start seeing him like make stupid throws or try to fit it into places where it really shouldn't be thrown into, double coverages and such like that. Then you get the interceptions, the turnovers, which just compounds the problem, and they just get more and more angry. And then, but anyway, as far as that goes, I feel like we just rush him early and often, and aces. So yeah, get under his skin, mess with him, mess him up. Good to go. All right. So I'd like to welcome in somebody that hasn't been here for a while. I'm just going to pop him on the screen totally unannounced.
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
It's going good.
Sorry for the delay there. Got held up at a cell phone carrier and didn't even get the phone finished, so that's great. You have to go back in the morning to finish the update. So love that, man. Been there since 6 o'clock and it's 7:45 now, so that's awesome.
Oh yeah, that's always fantastic when you have to deal with cell phone carriers and such.
Right. So what I miss? Where we at?
Basically, I just went over what the Browns did and so far as their stats go. The fact that Jim Schwartz is their defensive coordinator, I think that's going to be a huge factor in this game. But
agree.
We got Tim Kelly, who's definitely changing things. So I also don't think, I think it'll have an effect, but not to such a degree that it normally would. But Jim Schwartz is always hard. I respect the man.
Yes, definitely miss him in Nashville for sure.
But that's pretty much where we were. You got anything to add to that, man?
I kind of heard you talking about rattling Deshaun Watson whenever I hopped in, and I think that's going to be not that difficult of a thing to do. I don't think it's going to be really that hard to rattle him. Nobody likes him. He's the guy at lunch who is eating lunch by himself. So it's not hard for him to get under his skin. He likes contact, That's the kind of guy Deshaun Watson is. So let's give him some contact, some unwanted contact. He wants a lot of contact, so let's give him some unwanted contact. Get back there, like you said, rattle him, and maybe he'll throw us some interceptions. But the Browns are a solid team. They just signed Kareem Hunt, so that's going to fill in their gap a little bit. But nobody is Nick Chubb. I mean, nobody's Derrick Henry. Nobody's Nick Chubb. So they have a hole in their offense already, and we have. Do what?
Sorry, it was just bulldog bark. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh man, yeah, but the good guys play on the Titans, so let's yeah, the right one plays for the Titans, but we'll see. But we have the best run defense in the NFL, and that's shown time and time again. So I don't think that I'm not really that worried about the run game. I am worried about Deshaun taking off because the pass rush is ferocious. And with a good pass rush, it normally means easy lanes for a quarterback to get 5-10 yards at a time, just like we do. Bend, don't break. If Tannehill hits those few passes against the Saints, we're 2-0. Tim Kelly's a great offensive coordinator so far, and I think we got a good shot. I'm not going to guarantee a win or anything like that. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter this week that are like, "Oh, I'm not worried about the Browns. We're the Titans. Worry about every team. Like, don't ever think that we're just going to roll over a team. Every Titans game comes down to the last minute. We know this, so worry. Definitely worry if you're a fan of the Titans. So, yeah, man, that's where I'm at with that.
Well, check this out, man. Like literally right before I got done with football practice, and I got this little gas station. I look like literally I could hit it with a rock if I stepped out of my house. And so the dude, like the owner, like knows me. As soon as I walk in, he knows I'm a huge Titans fan. And, he knows I got this podcast and everything. So I walk in and he goes, "Oh, you were right. I mean, you called it, man. They won. I can't believe it." And I was like, "Yeah, man. I told you they lose to teams they should beat, and they beat teams they should lose to.
Yeah,
that's just the Titans, man.
That is the Titans."
And then he says, "Who are we playing this week?" And I said, "The Browns." And he goes, "Should we beat them?" And I was like, "Well, the experts say no, but I say yes." And he says, "So what does that mean?" And I was like, "We'll see."
Yeah, basically. It's split. The Browns are a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're not bad, but they're not a world beater. They're not a Chiefs caliber team, which nobody really is a Chiefs caliber team. But you get what I mean. They're not a top tier team in the NFL. They're a mid-level team who's trying to find their way and trying to gain traction. And they haven't shown anything to be like, "Oh yeah, this is a Super Bowl contending team." And I can't say that the Titans have either. We have an elite pass rush, but we don't have an elite anything else. Well, Derrick Henry is elite, but outside of the running back and pass rush, we're not necessarily saying that the Titans are just major Super Bowl contenders. We hope we are, but the Browns aren't either. And this should be, in my eyes, this is a game you have to win if you want to be in the conversation for a top team in the NFL or AFC even for now.
Well, the way I see it, man, is in the last game, we needed our offense to do just good enough to get us the win.
Yeah.
But really, the defense is what won us the game. Okay? So this game is kind of flipped. The defense we need, obviously, but it's really our offense versus their defense. And can we muster up enough offense against their defense?
Yeah.
To hang in there with, because they're gonna make a couple plays. They've already shown that. They're gonna make something happen at some point.
Yeah.
Stefanski is a good offensive minded head coach. He's got decent scheming. He's got Jim Schwartz as a defensive coordinator now, so that's a little frightening, to be honest. That pairing is a little frightening. It's like Kyle Shanahan and Dean Pease or something like that. That
Yeah.
would be a scary pairing right there,
Yeah.
you know. But my point is that they're a beatable team because of the fault of the man who is supposed to be their general.
Yeah.
And we saw it last week. I mean, the face mask, the one face mask, you know, where he's going out of bounds and he kind of tosses the guy or whatever. Hey, you know, I mean, if that was my quarterback, I'd be like, hey, just got a little salty. That's all, you know. I wouldn't even think twice about that.
Yeah.
But the one where he's like holding the dude and he's trying to make a play and he literally slings him to the ground by his face mask and then like backs up like he's just gonna just pass the ball and everything's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
That's the play that would bother me if it was my quarterback, because I'd be like, man, that was pretty dirty right there, man. That was a dirty hit.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson is a man of many faults. Let's just, we know that for sure. Not a very likable guy. All the allegations and the scandals aside, he's just not a likable guy at all. Hasn't been, and it might be because I'm a Bama fan, and it just, I don't like Clemson, and he beat Alabama in a national championship, but I just never liked him. I didn't like him from the jump. He played for the Texans, so why would we like him? That doesn't. And I've kind of heard this conversation since the beginning of this year. The Browns have kind of sold their soul for their quarterback to stop all the bad quarterbacks from the Browns history, which is like an ultimate team of bad quarterbacks for the past 20, 30 years. And just a string of horrible quarterbacks. And now we have Deshaun Watson, or they have Deshaun Watson, and he's not that good. Baker Mayfield has outplayed him to this point in the season. And I saw a thing that was like for $222 million less than what Deshaun Watson makes. And, you know, that says something in itself. Like, you paid that man that much money, and he's been a slightly above average.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you there, Michael. There are some likable players.
I have to disagree. I don't like any player that plays for the Texans or Colts or Jaguars. All three of them, and they're a Bama player. Will Anderson.
What about Arden Key?
Calvin Ridley. He's a Titans player.
But he won last year.
I didn't like him last year. That's my exact point. Like, if you put on that jersey, I immediately do not like you. That's like, as a player. Let me put that. Like, make sure we like Deshaun Watson. I don't like as a human being or a player. Like, let's just throw that out there.
I'll give you that. Because yeah, he's agreeable on the field. Yeah, I hate them all. Yeah. Off the field, yeah. I mean, there's some pretty cool dudes, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So next I was going to talk about our run defense is the number one in the NFL. Fantastic. That's awesome. Through 2 weeks. However, Nick Chubb had an amazing 6 yards per carry for the first 2 games. The man that backed him up and came into play, now I know he had a big breakoff run, but still, in the end, he had a 6 yard per carry, which tells me that their run blocking is pretty darn good.
They do have one of the best run blocking offensive lines in the NFL. That's not a question. Top 10 overall O-line in the NFL. But they haven't played the Titans.
Oh, that's true.
So we're going to see if that 6 – and plus, whenever you have a starting running back who's getting 6 yards per carry and your backup comes in, those defensive linemen are already worn down. So it's easier for him to get those yards per carry. Can he do it being the main workhorse? That's what I'm ready to see, and that's what I'm excited about this matchup, is to see what they're going to do with that.
I'll just say this as someone who went through this recently, who had their star running back who was basically carrying the team go down, and their franchise panicked and went out and got some aging running back that hadn't got a contract that year. it really didn't work out well. And I mean, I expect Kareem Hunt to be a little bit better than Adrian Peterson at that point. At this point, and the point that Peterson was at his career, I do think there's a difference there.
See,
but
we did have the AP signing, but we also had Deontay Foreman, and Deontay Foreman did do pretty well. He did well enough to boost his career, and he's still playing in the NFL. So that's a plus. And I'm not is that the same year? I'm pretty sure that's the same year. Maybe not. I can't remember. But regardless, when Derrick Henry went down with the Jones fracture, that's when Deontay Foreman stepped in, and he did really well. So that was
it took him 2 games though, because they kept playing Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Then finally Foreman took over in the 3rd game and just all the way up until the end of the season, and then for some reason got 4 carries in the postseason game.
Yeah, we had 67 yards, dude. He went crazy for those 4 carries, and we just didn't give him the ball.
We were like, no, we're gonna keep feeding Henry, man.
We're gonna keep feeding the Bengals defensive backs. That's what we're gonna do, and just lose the playoff game, even though we had 9 sacks. All right,
now you're just bringing up bad stuff. But
it touches a nerve. I can't help it.
Michael Newsom brought up a good point there. Besides the last part, Ford did average only 2 point yards per carry outside that big run. That's why they went out and signed Kareem Hunt. Yeah. They literally hit the panic button because they realized that the backup that they had was inadequate, just like the Titans did when our guy went down. We went, oh crap, the backup we've got is inadequate. We need something better. And we went out and we signed 2 guys. One was Deontay Foreman and one was Adrian Peterson. Peterson got the nod for 2 games, and then Foreman came in. And
I want to know what he meant by if we stay disciplined, Watson is going to find a way to win this. But if we stay disciplined, we're going to shut that offense down. I don't know. I don't get that last part there, Michael. I don't get that. Please elaborate.
I think he meant if we are undisciplined. I think that's what he meant. I don't know, but that's the way I take it.
I would love some clarity there if you can hand us that.
Clarify that, man.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm really excited about the run matchup, the O-line versus D-line, but I'm also excited about seeing what the pass rush does and seeing if they can keep it up, because it's hard to keep that up throughout an entire season. And I would love to see us get back to and sack Watson 4 or 5 times or 10. We could do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, to be honest, Watson's one of those guys that hits the outside a lot, and I could see him I could see us getting more sacks because of that. He doesn't trust his pocket, and he doesn't have a great pocket presence. He likes to get out and run on the edges and try to make plays and stuff. Here we go.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. Thank you for the
clarification. There you go.
If we stay disciplined, Watson is going to need to find a way to win.
We'll share 9 sacks. Yeah. Yes. I like that. That's what I'm talking about.
Throw Tierra Tart in there for 1 or 2 because he's a dog, man. What a find. That guy is a monster.
Well, I've got to talk about him a little bit because I've also got to talk about our injury report just a little bit. Not as bad as normal.
Yeah.
So cool, but it looks like Skoronski and Luke Gifford aren't going to play, period.
Yeah.
They're both pretty much just out. Kendall also, sorry. Kendall's a no-go, from what I've been told. Tart, however, is going to be one of those probably game time decisions. We'll have to see tomorrow. I think tomorrow, if he has any limited participation tomorrow, then he might actually, be ready for game day. But just like last week, I think he's a game time kind of decision to see what he does. However, we get Hooker and Fulton back. I don't really care about Fulton all that much.
Man,
but I'm excited to get Hooker back.
I am excited for Amani to come back, but I'm getting over the Christian Fulton hype. I can't keep hyping myself up for him to be elite, because to be elite you have to be on the field.
The only thing I'll say for Christian Fulton is he's better than Trey Avery.
That's true.
Did you see the stats on Trey Avery last week? I mean, literally, they beat that man up.
I did.
I mean, he had some wins,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it away from him. He had some wins, but for the most part, he got beat up that game. I feel bad for him.
As a first career start, though, you expect it. And it's going against the Chargers, who have a lot of weapons and a great quarterback. And I expected it. I expected nothing less. But I was also happy to see that he did make some plays. Like, he did better than what I expected. Although the numbers don't really show that he did well at all, honestly, he can grow off of what he did well. That's the thing about it. That's what I was excited about seeing from him. And man, if he can become a formidable CB2, Sean Murphy Bunting is the real deal. He looks like the real deal. And Roger McCreary looks like the real deal. So if Trey Avery can just be good enough, Christian Fulton might be a trade piece. And if he's not, we're not going to re-sign. The thing that here's the thing that I've come to realize about Rand Carthon and the new administration for the Titans. They are not holding on to players the way that previous GMs and leadership teams have in Nashville. They're not. He's not going to hold on to J-Rob's players. He doesn't want J-Rob's players. J-Rob did not do a good job of building the team to stay healthy and sustain success. If you're going to go with the 49ers way of doing things, you're going to get new blood in there. And if he builds a 49ers-esque team for us, then it's going to be guys who can stay healthy, who don't get hurt all the time, minus I don't know what happened there. My whole screen went black for a second. My bad. Minus Christian McCaffrey, who kind of has stayed hurt his entire career. Other than that, man, you look at the 49ers, they are mostly healthy throughout the season, and that's the type of guys that Carthon wants, and that's what Christian Fulton is not. He is a J-Rob guy through and through, stays hurt. If you're only available every other game, you can't be elite. That's what's holding him back is his health, and it's always an ankle or hamstring or something minor, but minor injuries stack up to become major. So I want Fulton to stay healthy. I'm a Fulton fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of every Titans player, but if it keeps stacking like this, and it has been for 3 years now, it's almost like, man, are we almost ready to move on from him and just get something in return? Because we didn't sign David Long Jr. Why? Because he couldn't stay healthy. Whole point.
Yeah, man. I agree with you 100%, to be honest. I said it right after he got injured and they announced that it was a hamstring. I was like, now what are you going to say about Vrabel calling him out?
Right.
It looks like Vrabel is right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it sucks that Skarachi's going to be out again, man. We don't need that. We need him.
Well,
bad way.
I saw a post. I think it was from Jake Robertson, excuse me, from Broadway Sports that was on the show a couple weeks ago. But I don't know. It might have been somebody else. But I think it was from him that basically was talking about, how people get on Twitter and say, oh, well, I had an appendectomy and I went back to work the next week.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
not a professional athlete.
I was going to say, if you stock the shelves for Kroger, or if you, do something like that, yeah, I imagine you probably did go back to work in a week. However, I'm a mechanic, and sometimes I have to lift 35-inch tires that are 10 ply that weigh with the wheel somewhere around 125 to 130 pounds, which is almost what I weigh. So, yeah, and I can tell you, I've had an appendectomy. I've done it. And I tried to go back to work, and it was office work, light work, stuff like that. I couldn't even hardly bend over a car to do the kind of mechanic work that you really need to do. So the fact that people are saying he should be back in a week is silly. You're looking at 2 to 3 weeks minimum. We probably won't have him in the next game, unfortunately. It is unfortunate However, I don't think it's as unfortunate as starting X and J. I don't know what they were thinking on that. Radens clearly is a better lineman than X and J.
Dylan Radens looks pretty solid. I mean, he looks the part, man. He's coming on there. So
on that big Derrick Henry run, he beasted that dude from one side of the field and just drug him all the way to the other side of the field. It was a thing of beauty, to be honest. I haven't seen linemen pushing people around like that in a while. It kind of got me excited. I was like, yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. That's some Titans football right there. But, you know, love the big plays. I love the fact that Tim Kelly, man, you know, you weren't on the Monday night show, unfortunately, so you didn't get to hear all the cool talk about that Tim Kelly split back offset eye with Chig. But man,
I noticed it though. I loved it. I love the. Go ahead.
What's great is, I mean, I've lost track of where my co-hosts are, but I talked about that in the preseason when right after we signed DeAndre Hopkins, I talked about that. I was like, imagine a split back where you have, you know, Henry and Tajay Spears. And of course, I was including Josh Wiley, who looks like he's going to be a little bit more of a developmental player than I'd hoped. But anyway, moving on, you know, I was talking about all the different things you could do from that and how it could disrupt defenses and confuse defenses because you never know what they're going to throw at you, who they're going to give it to, who, you know, and we saw that in Sunday's game. We saw it, I think, 7 times. I think we saw the split back 7 times. Not once did we run the same play out of it.
I love it.
It's fantastic. Man.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And we ran that offset eye, I think, 5 times, and twice we ran the same play. But still, amazing, man. I mean, you take 2 plays, basically, and you're like, yeah, we're going to just line up this way every single time and figure out different ways to move people around and get you off your game.
Yep.
I mean, that's what a good offensive coordinator does.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen. So
and he also finds ways to get his playmakers the ball in space and doesn't just try to run it straight up the middle 3 times and then punt the ball away. I love Ryan Stonehouse, but I got sick of seeing him last year, and I'm so glad that we're actually able to move the ball a little bit. And that's my whole philosophy in football. If I'm going to create a team, I'm going to create a team that plays great defense and an offense who can get first downs. First downs turn into touchdowns more times than not. So if we can move the ball, especially with the Titans, this is how this team is set up to win. If you can move the ball 10, 11 plays and take 7.5 minutes off the clock for 2 drives, just 2, you have now used a quarter of the game. 25% of the game you've held the ball. The most that an opposing offense can hold the ball now is 75% of the game. Your defense is on the sideline. It's resting. It's ready to come out and get a 3 and out. Where the defense gets torched is when the offense goes 3 and out 3 times in a row, and they're tired. They're tired of being on the field. They start giving up first downs, and then they get down there and they make a huge stop and they force a field goal, and then Tannehill comes back out. We hand it off 2 times and throw an incompletion to Trayvon Wesco, and we punt the ball right back, and the defense is back on the field within 2 minutes, real minutes of getting off the field. So we need first downs, and that's what Tim Kelly is doing, and that's what I love. Big plays are awesome. Big plays are why we love football. Let's be honest. Everybody fell in love with football from seeing big plays, and it's awesome to see them in the 3rd and 4th quarter. But in the first half, in the 3rd quarter, first downs. Just run it, dump it off, easy first downs, get in the 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2, and keep that defense on the field.
Yeah, man. And, you know, I had to give a big shout out to your boy, Kiaris, for not only handling the ball well, but in that overtime possession, when he got the ball, I believe he got 11
Yes, sir.
11 yards on the return.
Yep.
Which you pointed out in an earlier episode, that is a free first down. And
Yep.
we'll take those all day long. That's all we need of our return, man, is just get us 10, 15 yards, man. We're happy.
Yep. And catch the ball. And that's what he did. He caught the ball the whole game, and then when it mattered the most, he got us a first down. And I love it so much. And I would also like to throw out that on the Titans official how to pronounce their name sheet, it did say Kieris, and I was saying that right the entire time. It was like key-air-is. So I just wanted to throw that out there that they could, because they put up the sheet, for everybody, and it's funny because they didn't even put Chig's first name because it's a nightmare to say. So like they were just like Chig Okonkwo, and like that was awesome. But on Kieris, it was like Kieris Jackson, and I was like, yes, I win. I see you, Cortland. I was
gonna say I'm still gonna call him Kieris or whatever, because that's just what I've got him as in my head is Kieris Jackson. But hey, whatever, tomato.
Right.
We know who we're talking about, man. It's just like when I talk about what's his name? I can never remember his name, but he's another one that's got one of those crazy names. No, it's Ndukwe, Thomas Ndukwe. Odukoye. There it is.
Odukoye. I'm not sure. I'm still not sure how to say that. They didn't put that on the list because he didn't make the 53. So, although Trayvon Wesco needs to be on a beach somewhere or in a plant working with
sipping Mai Tais.
That guy, man. No, I don't hate any Titans players. Let me throw this out there and make this clear. I do not hate any Titans players. I hope every Titans player is uber successful and they have the best year of their career when they put on a Titans uniform. But I said it before the season on this podcast, and I'll say it again, and I tweeted it Sunday. That man is the single worst tight end I have seen in the NFL in so long. He is horrible. He's an average blocker, and he has bricks for hands. 5 years in the NFL, 4 catches. Dropped a pass that should have been a first down Sunday. Don't even throw him the ball. Like, he's just an extra offensive lineman who's average at best. And I do not understand why you keep him on the roster. And I say this, and he'll catch 3 touchdowns Sunday. And I hope he does. I really do. I hope I eat all my words on this. But I can't get on the train, Wesco train. I can't do it. I'm upset.
I'm with you on that, man. To be honest, Monday I was calling for Odukoye to be brought up from the practice squad.
Yeah. That was the last part of my tweet was bring him up. Why not?
He is a mauler of men. You know what I mean? He was manhandling dudes in the preseason, so I don't see why you don't give him a shot.
And I think he's 2 or 3 years younger than Wesco, and he's more athletic. And, he can catch a pass like a tight end is designed to do. I know we have Chig. I get it. Chig is going to catch passes. Like he's a threat on offense. You don't have to have 2 or 3 great tight ends. Matter of fact, 2 or 3 great tight ends on a team normally doesn't work, i.e. the New England Patriots. But an average tight end maybe to back up Chig to come in and can block well and then sneak out and catch a pass every now and then. When your head coach was a middle linebacker in the NFL and is a better tight end than any tight end that you have outside of Chig, that's kind of a problem. More touchdowns receiving than our entire team, I think, besides D-Hop has combined, and that's a problem. I would rather have Mike Vrabel at backup tight end than Trayvon Wesco.
Well, he'd be tied with Chris Moore, but yeah.
Oh, well, does Chris Moore have 10?
Yep.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good for him, right?
Yeah, right. Good for that guy. I like Chris Moore.
I was going to say, man, he showed up last week with that when we needed him to, with that 47-yard bomb pass. And he caught the ball and the defender's arm at the same time.
Yeah, which is impressive.
Yeah, good on you. And he held on to it all the way through, the ground and everything.
And he looks the part, man. I like him. I like him pretty good as wide receiver 3. NWI is another one who did pretty well That was nice. That was a good revelation right there. But let's not act. Like, I would also like to address that. Like, Nick Westbrook-Akine is not bad. He's not good, but he's not bad. Like, why do we have this narrative that he's so bad? Like, I don't understand where this comes from with Titans. Like, Titans fans. I mean,
well, here's the point: is right now Nick Westbrook-Akine is exactly where he's supposed to be.
Right.
You got DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks, Chris Moore, and then NWI.
Right.
And now you put NWI, you take Chris Moore out. You can swap those guys out when you're wanting to do a running play because NWI is a massive dude and he blocks big time for a wide receiver. He's one of the best blocking wide receivers in the NFL, which is why, especially on the short curl routes and stuff like that, or the short, crossing routes, that he's wide open. Yeah. Because he'll act like he's going to block somebody. They'll let him go. I mean, I've seen defensive backs turn their back to him and run away. Like they're not even concerned with him. And then he gets a pass for 12 yards.
Exactly. You know what I mean? He's a first down type of guy. So and we don't need him to be. And I get it. I get it. If you want to pull that comment up down there, he will never be a number one. No, and we don't need him to be a number one. And I get it. Last year he had to be a number one. But it's not his fault. That's not on him. But that's on J-Rob for signing all receivers and trading away the most generational receiver we've ever had in Nashville. Derek Mason, I love you. Don't take the offense to that. But A.J. Brown is the best receiver that has ever put on a Titans uniform and played for the Titans. I would argue that Julio is probably the best all time, but when he played for the Titans, it was very underwhelming. However, NWI doesn't need to be a 1. He needs to be a 3/4. And honestly, Kyle Phillips, I'm kind of getting out on him too because I'm tired of the injury stuff. I'm just sick of injuries, man. I really am. I'm so tired of injuries, and I'm so tired of every year seeing a laundry list of injuries. And it's week 3, man, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys on the injury report, and it's week 3. Like, come on, man. It's getting ridiculous at this point. I'm sick of injury-ridden guys. I get it, it's the NFL, but like no other team besides the Ravens has to deal with this. Something has to give here.
Well, I mean, part of it is the NFL is a rough sport. Part of it is the fact that we have a fluffy society. It's the best way of putting it. People are less tough than they used to be.
That's true.
I don't mean to be harsh. I'm just being real. But what's his name? Brian Baldinger, for example. You ever watch one of his, like, you ever notice in a lot of my videos, my ring finger doesn't quite, I mean, I can force it, but it doesn't straighten out naturally. Naturally, that's the way my ring finger, because I broke it. Brian Baldinger's fingers like go separate ways and stuff. Do you know why? Because he broke them during a game. It went sideways, and then he just kept going. He didn't care. He was like, tape it up, just make a big ball out of it, and I'll go out there and play with that. And he did it multiple times. And that was just the mindset of football players back then. Nowadays, it's like, I got this weird toe cramp.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? The first time I ever heard of turf toe, I was like, that's the most ridiculous crap I've ever heard in my life.
I will say, though, I've had turf toe one time, and you can't really walk. So it's kind of like it is difficult to play through that.
No, I mean, I get it. I mean, I've had a Lisfraxic, I think I'm saying that right, Lisfraxic injury on my right foot, which was, oh my God, I felt so bad for Jake Locker after that, dude. Because like when they told me what I did, I was like, oh, I have Jake Locker's injury, the one that took him out, and then like after experiencing it, holy crap, man, no wonder he never played football again. Jeez, one of my toes is shorter than the rest of them now. Thank you, but my point is that players just used to be tougher, and the game mindset used to be tougher. Nowadays it's just more, which it should be, player safety. It should be all about player safety, and that's I think that's what got us away from that really hard-nosed football, and that's cool. That's okay. You know what I mean? But injuries are still going to happen. It's an injury-filled game. You got dudes.
That kind of like plays into my point, though, is like we are more worried about player safety now in the NFL than we ever have been, but guys are still getting hurt at an immaculate rate and they're getting hurt worse than ever. And I do think that part of it is overtraining and the players are you're going against guys who are working out 24/7 and maybe before the 70s it wasn't really like that, but we've grown and progressed into a league where like all these guys are like bodybuilders and brick walls coming at you. So I do get that, but at the same time my gripe is why us? Why the Titans? Why does it have to be the Titans and Ravens every single year? And I have a theory, and I've expressed my theory to you before, to where the brutal, bruising game of football that with the Titans play and the Ravens play, that causes injuries. You can't do that. The reason the Chiefs aren't very injured is because they play a spread out type of offense and a spread out type of defense, even positionless defense, and they don't get hurt that much. I agree, Michael, but at the same time, it's not every NFL team, and that's my whole point behind it. It's a Titans and Ravens problem, and like I don't understand why it's been going on for three. This is the third year of being one of the most injury ridden teams. I understand like one or two or even 5 or 6 injuries, but 11 guys on the injury report in week 3. Again, that's a long list.
Well, technically, we're not the most injured team in the NFL. Actually, we're not even in the top 5
yet.
Yeah, agreed. I'll give you that. Yet, agreed. Yeah, but and I mean Skoronski. Come on, man, that's a freak accident. You can't.
That's true.
I mean that's literally an act of God almost. Luke Gifford, however, that's disappointing.
So what you're saying is God hates the Titans.
Maybe.
Thanks.
Maybe. I'm not.
Well, it makes sense, man. We can't win a Super Bowl. So
which is crazy because there's so many churches around here in Tennessee.
Yeah, man. We're like the middle of the Bible Belt.
Yeah, we should have favor here.
Yeah. Just a group prayer before every game. What
we do that.
Let's get it going here. Big Nissan Stadium prayer.
Big matchups. Obviously, we want to see if Treylon Burks is for real or not. I think he is, so I think he's still going to, burn a couple of them, especially since Greg Newsome might be out. I think that helps us out in that department a little bit. But the big matchup I'm interested in seeing, the big matchup is Myles Garrett against our 2 tackles. Because they're going to line him up everywhere. But
I'm not interested in that. I'm terrified of that, man. Like I'm not ready to see that at all. We need to get the ball out in like less than a second, really.
Well, I don't know, man. Did you watch like last week how Chig was like chipping the defender like every other play or whatever? Or Tajay would chip the defender every other play. So they're helping Dillard out. But yeah, to be honest, I don't know how much you can help him out against a guy like Myles Garrett. Well, and it's also going to show it. Everybody keeps giving so much credit to Hubbard, and I guess I have to give him some credit because his stats are really, really great. His film didn't look terrible last week like it did the first week, but it still didn't look great to me. So I don't get all the hype. Maybe Myles Garrett can. I hope he doesn't prove me right, but he might.
We'll see, and I'm excited to see. Well, like I said, I'm not really that excited about it, but I am. I'm interested to see if we can can do something with him. But I don't think so. And here's the thing too, it would really, really help the tackles out if our quarterback knew what stepping up in the pocket meant.
Yeah, for sure.
Jesus, man. You watch every other quarterback in the NFL outside of maybe Mac Jones and Russell Wilson, and Russ is going to do his little spin out move and run around and then throw an incomplete pass that was 20 yards off because he's washed. But Tannehill will look down the field, and if everybody's covered up, we'll just stand there and just wait to get hit. I don't understand it. Just step up. If you step up 2 yards, you have more room, more options, and you can dump it off. Part of the reason our offensive line is so terrible and giving up so many sacks, and this is the entire Tannehill era. This has been a problem. It's not anything new. You're not a 35-year-old quarterback with new problems. This has been an issue his entire career, and here we are, veteran Tannehill, back end of his career, and he still does not have any pocket awareness at all. He'll take a hit. I'll give that to him. The man is tough. He will take a hit, but you don't have to. You don't have to. Step up, and you got it, man.
Well, the thing that frustrates me isn't the step up; it's the step sideways. Like that's the thing that kills me is that like you watch that running play where he scored the touchdown.
Yeah,
dude's got wheels.
Beautiful play.
Even at 35, he's still fast and he can juke. I mean, did you see the cut that he made on the safety? I mean, he planted his foot and it was fantastic. So. Okay, so you have that kind of mobility. Why can't you just do that in the pocket? You know what I mean? Just, oh my God, take off that way. You know what I mean? I don't know. That is the frustrating part for me in Tannehill is the pocket awareness and the not trusting your offensive line, which I don't blame him for not trusting our offensive line at this point. But it is better than previous years.
Yeah, it's better than last year. And honestly, they haven't been that horrible. I honestly expected a lot worse than what we're getting. Now, when Xavier Newman was in the game, or whatever his name is, XNJ, whenever he was in the game, he had one of the worst missed blocks I've seen all year. And he came through and got Tannehill absolutely murdered. And I think that's what got him pulled from the game.
Yeah.
Which deservedly so, because that was terrible. That looked like Alabama's offensive line this year. But the rest of the time, man, I think, what did he take? 3 or 4 sacks Sunday?
5, I think, or 4 or 5 sacks. I can't remember, but I do remember the yardage number, which was like 53 yards or something like that.
At least 2 of those were on Tannehill, where if he moves in the pocket, he's got more time to throw, or you got time to just step up and go gain a yard. Go just run forward and slide, and you got all this open field in front of you to slide. Just do that. I would take 2nd and 9 over 2nd and 17 all day long every day, because you have a chance to get 5 yards, and then you're in 3rd and manageable. Now, if you're 2nd and 17, you get 10 yards, and you're still 3rd and long. Like, that's what puts us behind the 8 ball. And that's one of the most frustrating things. Now, I will say another frustrating thing, especially with Todd Downing, was the lack of being able to throw the ball short. If you're a quarterback in the NFL, you can throw a 5-yard pass. It's okay. Just like he did at the end of in the 4th quarter, I think, or overtime, one of the two. We had the 2 really good drives there toward the end, and we swung it out to Derrick Henry, and he got 7 yards at 2nd and 3. That made me so happy. I'm like, yes, because we didn't have this. We had screens and we had 30-yard passes last year, and that was it. So Tim Kelly has done great about bringing that back. If you watch the best quarterbacks in the NFL, their offensive coordinators get them going. They get them in a rhythm, and that's how they get to hit those big passes. Exactly. Let's get 5-6 yards, and then toward the end of the game, you can either take your pick, run it up the middle and be able to get 6-7 yards at a time, or run a play action and throw somebody or throw somebody deep over the secondary like we did. And that was really nice how we did that Sunday. It started to pick up. The first half, I was highly frustrated. I think everybody was. Because we were just like, especially the first quarter, we've got to do something.
Terrible,
We've got to do something about that. It's been the entire Vrabel era. Like, we just don't play in the first quarter, and then we turn it on in the second half. And if we played every drive like we do the last drive of the game in the 4th quarter, the Titans would have the number 1 offense in the NFL. I really want to see a stat on that. Like, who is the best last drive of the game offense for the past 2 years? It has to be the Titans.
Well, I'll say this too. I don't know if you're a believer in this, but I am a believer in this. Lombardi once said that, I think it was Lombardi, somebody famous in football. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it was Lombardi, but he said
Probably Lombardi.
3 weeks of NFL play is what it takes for a team to bond. Minimum 3 weeks. And I think we're starting to see a little bit. I mean, Saints was just a freaking mess, man. It was just a wreck. The offense was a wreck. The defense looked great because it pretty much stayed the same. But the offense changed a lot, and it looked like it. It looked like guys didn't know where they were supposed to be. People were making stupid decisions. Just mess. Move on to last week. All of a sudden, things start coming around. People start executing like they're supposed to. Plays are starting to be played like they're supposed to. Our offense actually moves down the field. Impressive. So I'm hoping that in week 3, we see just a little bit more progression. You know what I mean? A little bit more cohesion in our offense and the guys getting to know each other a little bit better. You know, everybody has tendencies. Everybody has different speeds. It takes a little bit of time for your quarterback and, like, say, DeAndre Hopkins, to build that rhythm or that rapport or whatever. And I'm hoping by week 3 that we're seeing somewhat of a final product of what our offense is going to be for this season. And I hope it looks even better than last week.
I will say that we've scored more points than the Chiefs this year, and we have won more games than the Bengals have. So the streets are saying that the Titans are better than the Chiefs and Bengals. I'm just saying that's what people are talking about. And so we're getting there. We're on the right track here. D-Hop is D-Hop, man. I'm not worried about D-Hop. He's going to do what D-Hop does. But yeah, man. So are we better than the Chiefs and Bengals? That's what that's a topic. That's a topic in the NFL right now. Are the Titans the best team in the NFL? Maybe.
Well, I'll say this: if we go into Cleveland and we come out on top by more than 2 scores, I say absolutely we are.
That's not going to happen. That's not.
I know it's not going to happen. I'm just saying
we might win by 2 points, man. The Titans don't blow teams out. That's not what we do.
We've done it a couple times.
We go to the end of the fourth quarter and we kick field goals to win games, or we're down by 6 and we need a late touchdown and Tannehill turns into Steve McNair and we just go out there and we do it. And that's how the Titans win games. We don't play well until it's time to win. And I love it, but I hate it because it just frustrates the hell out of me for
blood pressure,
3.5 quarters. Yes, man. And then
I swear, dude, my blood pressure gets out of control.
Every time, every game, it never fails. It's just the Titans' way of doing things, and it's just like, all right, we're gonna piss all our fans off for 3.5 quarters and have you ready to bench the entire team, and then we're gonna look like a Super Bowl contender out of nowhere. And then sometimes it doesn't happen, and it's even worse because we lose, and then we're really ready to riot, and then we come back the next week and we beat the Chiefs, and we all get back invested into it. That's how we play football, and it's the most aggravating thing in the world. And I just wish that sometimes we could win 31-3. Like, is that too much to ask for?
Look, Tyler, this is a change. It's a change in regime. All right. We are not the Titans of old. We have proven that. We still might have Derrick.
When did we prove that? We lost 16-15, and then we just won on a game-winning field goal. That's
we proved it when we hired Ran Carthon. And I said, when we hired Ran Carthon, I even said then that I wasn't expecting, even if we did get DeAndre Hopkins or something like that, I wasn't saying that I bet we win the Super Bowl in 2023, but I was saying watch out for us in 2024.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be mean in 2024. And that's exactly what he's doing, man. And even if we don't have an amazingly stellar season, which I do think we're going to get into the playoffs, and where we go from there is where we go from there. Getting to the tournament is the important part. But I feel like we get in the tournament this year at least. And then next year, we're going to be talked about, or, well, maybe not talked about, but we are going to be Super Bowl contenders, period. I mean, we are.
Could be this year.
Oh,
if Tannehill
absolutely.
steps up, it's all on Tannehill's shoulders. I'll be honest, man. Like the defense is solid. The defense is great. Offense it can be okay. Like I said, if that man hits 2 throws Sunday, 2 throws, we win that game by double digits. He missed 2 touchdown throws, not Sunday, first Sunday, my bad, against the Saints. He makes those 2 throws, we win by double digits. And he came back, redeemed himself pretty well last weekend, and that's awesome. But we got to have it. It's got to be consistent. It's got to be consistent. It can't be where you play horrible and then you smile through the press conferences with that grit, that just giddy smile that makes me so angry when I watch a Tannehill press conference after a loss, because he can't help it, and it's his face, and he doesn't mean to smile, I don't think, but he just has this weird smirk about him. And it's like when he's smirking after a loss, I'm like, bro, I know you're smirking because you get paid $30 million a year to play this game, and all of us make like $30,000 a year, and we're just mad at you. And like it's understandable. I would smile too. I wouldn't care as much. But at the same time, we need you to be good. Like this is a lot is riding on this for everybody, and we need Tannehill to step up and be consistently a decent quarterback. We're not asking you to be Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. I'm asking you to not turn the ball over and hit guys who are open. That's it. That's it, and that's all. Don't turn it over. Get it to wide receivers who are open and win us ball games. You don't have to be a world beater quarterback. Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl ring. That's all I'm going to say about that is Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl ring. So Ryan Tannehill
can, and a lot of other quarterbacks.
It might be a different time, but if you look at how he won it, look at how Joe Flacco won it. He got really hot at the right time, and that's understandable. But you had a defense led by the greatest linebacker to ever live and one of the greatest safeties to ever live, and Terrell Suggs. And like those guys were amazing on defense, and that's what the Titans have. Not the greatest linebacker of all time, but Azeez Al-Shaair is good, or Shire is really good. And we have the best pass rush in the league, and I will stand by that. Best overall pass rush in the league. Nobody is touching it. I don't care what you say about the Jets or the Commanders or whoever else you want to throw out there. They're not better than the Titans. The Titans just don't get the right coverage in the media.
I agree with you there, man. I think, well, I feel like this. First half of the first game was what I wanted our pass rush to look like the entire season. But something happened. I don't know what happened. Arden Key kind of fell off a little bit, and I haven't really seen that much of him since. I hope he comes back, man, because I was loving that.
It's really hard to sustain a pass rush. That's what I've been like. That's what I was saying earlier about like being excited to see if we could sustain it this year, because it's extremely hard for every game to get after the quarterbacks because teams study film, teams study stunts. What you do, you can't do it again. So like having to do that over and over again, if you're not just a physical freak like J.J. Watt or Myles Garrett or Joey Bo or which one is it? Nick Bosa or Nick Bosa, I think, is the good one, right?
Joey Bosa
is it Nick or Joey? Which one plays for the 49ers?
Nick.
That's the good one.
I think they're both pretty good, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, but those guys are physical freaks, and that's the ones that are they're gonna do what they need to do every time. And the Titans have Jeffrey Simmons, who is like that, but other than that, they don't have one of those guys. So they have to use a lot of stunts and disguise how they're going to rush the passer.
Well, I'm hoping since that. Thank you, Frankie. Yeah, I already took care of that. Good job. I'm hoping that since Harold Landry got his first taste of blood very late in the game, I believe it was even in overtime. When he made that sack on Hubert. But he has tasted blood now. So he knows he can get there. You know, I'm hoping that was basically him knocking the rest of the rust or whatever off from the injury. And I hope that he comes into this game firing off like he used to, man. Because if we get the old Harold Landry back at any point in this season, it's going to be lights out, dude.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
with Harold Landry and Autry and Simmons, it's a pick your poison type deal. I mean, you
Autry is a
don't even
dog.
have to talk about Arden Key and Rashad Weaver and all the other, fun guys we have laying around. But those three dudes right there are elite at
Yep.
what they do.
Yep.
When they're on.
Tierra Tard is elite as a defensive tackle as well. So that nose guard, that position is nice when he's in the game. He's not that great of a pass rusher necessarily, but man, you can't block him. That's what he's shown that you cannot block that man. His hands and feet are too quick.
Yeah, I tell you, man. We when the game was going on, I was talking to someone and I was telling them, when we used to play backyard football, we had this giant shed in our backyard, and we'd always, it was literally in the way. And we just talk about running around the shed. We'd be like, it's all right if you got to run around the shed. But that's what Tierra Tart is. He's the shed in the backyard you have to run around. Because if you try to run through him, all you're going to do is bounce right off of him.
Yep.
I mean, the man is a one-man wrecking crew. And he's a big dude, man. I mean,
yes.
Look at him standing next to Jeffrey Simmons. He's a very large man, and not just tall and muscular. He's honestly a little round to be a football player. But he does it well. And I mean, he is one of the best run blocker nose tackle. I mean, he is the pure nose tackle and rushes effectively. He's an all-around great defensive lineman. And, to have him as a rotational piece with Autry and Simmons, and, you throw PV and Pecco in there or whatever, every now and then you sprinkle those guys in there to give them a break.
One of those guys got cut, right? Who got cut?
Well, they all right, so they kind of flipped them. Okay, so Pecco was on the practice squad. PV was on the active roster. So they cut PV, activated Pecco, and then signed PV back to the practice squad. So they basically just flip-flopped them around. Because Pecco, honestly, I mean, you look at the last two games he was elevated, he's showed up.
Yeah.
PV really hasn't. I mean, I haven't been able to call his name that much, but Pecco has showed up, man. He's doing a great job. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have to say about the Browns game, other than the fact that I think we'll win. And people, they always want the score prediction, and it's always hard. And I gave 24-14 last week, ended up 27-24. So, this week I'm going to go 21-17. How about that? 21-17.
I like it.
Titans, obviously. I would, very rarely am I ever going to say the Titans are going to lose. But I'm not a homer. So, when we play the Bengals, if they're in form by then, we might lose that game. But if Burrow's still acting weenish, then he'll be, then we might be all right. So it might be an interesting game. But
well, I do not predict Titans games, as we all know, so I'm going to sit that one out. I hope that we stay healthy and we get a dub and come back and get ready for this Bengals game that I'm really excited about. I hate playing the Browns. I don't like. I mean, look, man, I grew up a LeBron fan, but the city of Cleveland is just the most unattractive city of all time, and just the Browns. Your nickname is a color, and your mascot is this weird leprechaun looking thing, man. And you got the dog pound as your cheering section.
Yeah. What exactly is literally when I was making up the graphics for this, the graphics that I put up or whatever, I was looking for the Brown symbol. I put in Brown symbol, and it just kept showing me the helmet.
Yeah. It's an orange helmet.
Yeah, it's just brown. Yeah, it ain't even brown, man. It's orange. Are y'all colorblind?
Yeah.
But whatever.
It's disgusting. And not only that, but your team is most known for a saying about using the bathroom. And
taking the Browns to the bowl.
yeah, and that to me. I would just not be a fan of that team. I don't understand how they have fans. I don't understand how they're still called the Browns, of the ugliest color in the world. Man, dude, I don't know. I guess I could even see somebody be called the Reds. Like, I don't know, man. If you're gonna be like, are you gonna be called the Marlboro Reds even? But like, I can't. There's no
I can see
way.
where you're going with the Browns not being the most favorable name in the world.
That's the worst name in the NFL. Like, that is the absolute. And you're in Cleveland, which a lot of people refer to as a Brown, like to the Super Bowl type city. Since I can't cuss on this podcast, like it is a Browns to the Super Bowl type of city. We'll say it like that, and it's just the worst. I hate the whole state of Ohio. It's really just it's a bad place to be, man. If you follow Blooper on the Braves mascot on Twitter, when the Braves got done with a series in Cincinnati, he was like, yes, finally, we get to do the best thing to do in Ohio, which is leave. And like, that's how I feel about Ohio. I hate Cincinnati. I hate Cleveland. Let's just go in here and get 2 dubs against these guys and just beat the state of Ohio. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
There we go. I want to go to Ohio and win, then come back home and win again.
Yeah, we got to beat the Bengals this time, man. I can't listen to Bengals fans for another. I can't do it. We got to beat them. We got to beat them. Got to. I can't deal with. I hate Bengals fans so bad. Like, not specifically any one single person, but as a whole, their fan base. The entire Midwest, actually, all their fan bases are horrendous. I've been to a Titans Chiefs game in Kansas City. It's just as bad. Just horrible.
The worst fans, and I'm pretty sure I've said it before. The absolute worst fans in football is in Philly.
I disagree, and I disagree because I think their biggest rival is
brotherly love, and that is the biggest bunch of bull.
It is.
That is not true. Those people are hostile, man.
Great sports town. They really are. And I'm a Sixers fan, so I have a special place in my heart for Philly, but I love the way Philly fans are. And I highly disagree with them being the worst NFL fan base because the worst NFL fan base is their biggest rival, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have the absolute worst fan base, the biggest, we're going to win the Super Bowl every year fan base and never win the Super Bowl. As Titans fans, we know we're not going to win the Super Bowl most of the time. We get it. We're very self-aware. The Cowboys swear every year that they're going to do it, and they never do.
This year, man, this year, I hate to say it, Coach. I hope you're not watching. But if you are, but my coach literally told me that tonight at practice. He was like, "How about them boys? 2-0. We going all the way this year." And I was like,
"Every year,
their defense is good, man."
Yeah, great.
That's what I said.
Trayvon Diggs is out for the year. That sucks. I hate to hear that. Tore his ACL today in practice, but
just hope that Dak holds up.
Oh man, I don't know. It's going to be pretty hard if you know. Anyways, man, that was terrible. That kind of leads me into my point. The picture I sent you the other day. Do you have that on your phone? I got a new phone earlier, as I mentioned, so I don't have it right now. If you have that, I would like if you can pull it up, it would be even better. But if you can read it off for me, just for some context while you're looking it up. So everybody knows, I'm scrolling on Facebook the other day, and I don't follow any Dallas Cowboys pages at all. Don't get me wrong. You know how Facebook is, though. They hear you talking about the NFL, and they're going to show you NFL things. So I see this picture of Dak Prescott, and I'm like, all right, let me read what this post is. And it's a post. It's a screenshot of a tweet. And all right, cool. So we see this. All right. Can you read that off for me real quick there, Max? And I want to make a very strong comment about this.
Yeah, it says Josh Allen versus the Jets last week. 29 of 41, 236 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 1 fumble. Dak Prescott versus the Jets this week. 31 of 38, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. Will the national media talk about it?
Will the national media talk about it? Are the Cowboys fans saying that the national media doesn't cover the Cowboys well enough? Are you effing kidding me? Are you serious, bro?
It's like Green Bay or New England being like, "Hey, man, we don't get talked enough about on NFL Network now, y'all."
That threw me for a loop, dude. I had to send it to you so I could say it. Oh my goodness. If the Cowboys don't get talked about enough on NFL media, no team gets talked about enough on in any NFL media. The Cowboys are the most covered team in the NFL year after year after year. We have to hear all season long
Dude,
about
every
the
time Skip
Cowboys.
Bayless opens his mouth, you got to hear about the Dallas Cowboys.
Every time, and I will never understand why we have to hear so much about the Cowboys. But even I've heard it on Pardon My Take. I've heard it on other big name podcasts where they have these guys from working for ESPN, and they're like, okay, what do we have to talk about today? Nothing. What did Dak Prescott do? What did he eat today? Like, what are the Cowboys' offensive lineman diet plan for the offseason? How are the Cowboys going to improve on last year's mistakes? How are the Cowboys going to win the Super Bowl? This is every day. Is the national media going to talk about Dak Prescott throwing for a lot of yards? Yes. They are, and they're going to talk about it if he doesn't, and they're going to talk about it if he goes and gets in his car the wrong way. They're going to talk about everything that man does. They're going to talk about the Cowboys. For the love of God, leave complaining about the national media to us. We don't get enough coverage. The Titans don't get enough coverage. Tannehill could throw for 500 yards Sunday, and they'll mention it and then say, why is the Browns secondary so bad? That's what the headline will be. The Cowboys can do no wrong, and they do everything right. And national media, oh my goodness. All right, I'll digress. I had to that really irked me, man. That really I had to give a take on that because that was horrible.
No, I love it, man. Grinding gears.
That really did grind my gears, as Peter Griffin would say. That was, man, it really just it hurt. It hurt.
I'm glad you got that reference. That's fantastic because we're sitting here doing a podcast. And, you know what really grinds my gears? All right, folks. So unless you have anything to add, Tyler.
I don't. I think I've gotten it out of my system now. I think we're good. I'm going to go try to set up this phone as much as I can.
All right, man. Well, we really enjoyed having you back, man.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, we missed you, man. To be honest, it's fun doing these shows, but it's more fun when you're around.
I appreciate that.
And if anybody's forgot, tell them where they can find you at, brother.
At Titan_always22 on Twitter. Not really on any other social medias. It's my personal pages that I don't want you guys finding me on. So Titan_always22, the Ryan Stonehouse Stan account, the one and only, and better be the one and only. And don't nobody copy that. That is a registered trademark. It's not really, but please don't copy my idea, man. It used to be the Brett Kern Stan account. It's a great story behind it. I just made it up out of nowhere. That's the beautiful story behind that. Nobody has a Brett Kern Stan account. Nobody has a Ryan Stonehouse Stan account. Show love to the specialist, y'all. Nick Folks, shout out to you. We love you. Thank you for coming to Nashville.
Yes.
Screw that 7th round pick. We don't need 7th round picks anyways. We'll take wins over that. Thank you. And please mentor Cade York into becoming the next you. That's all I have.
Yeah, man. And, you can find us, Titans Global Podcast. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. Pretty much anywhere you find social media, we're there. We're even on Spotify. Hey.
Yes, sir.
So if you're looking for me in particular, Maximus Titan fan, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter.
This is my first Titans Global podcast. I just realized that, and I'm really excited about that. But I love the logo looks amazing. The vibe is nice and clean here. It's great. And also we have a website. I'm designing the website, and I've not forgotten about it. I've just been super busy with the baby on the way. So the website is coming. The blog is coming. We're on the way with that, and it looks legit, man. You're gonna love it. Everybody's gonna love it. Still have to pin down the domain. So we get to that point, we're going to drop the website. You guys can find us, Titans Global Podcast, anywhere you get your podcast. Please go smash the subscribe and like button on YouTube. We need that.
Yeah, man, YouTube is the best place to watch it, and it helps us the most. So we appreciate any subscription or likes on YouTube. Thank you very much. And for me and Tyler, y'all have a good night. Tighten up. Peace out.
Tighten up.